Well, hello, my name is Christopher Hawkins. Welcome to I named it the Malone T&K podcast.
Wonderful. I love that idea.
I just threw it out. I said, well, it's a random name I can think of. And Malone, actually a nickname of mine.
Okay.
So I just said, screw off and throw it out there. And I looked it up. No one else has the same podcast name.
Sweet.
So I was able to go off of that, give a phone call.
I know. It's going to have to wait.
It's fine. But yeah, starting off, we're here with Miss Claudann.
Mm-hmm.
How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you, Christopher?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Right.
So would you like to tell the lovely people who you are?
Yes, I am Claudann Jones, and I am the county agent for Family and Community Health. So, and I'll back up to say that I am a county agent with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service.
That's wonderful.
So yes, so we are, if you don't know anything about county agents, we are employed through Texas A&M University and Smith County. So we are one employee of two different entities.
Right.
So and every county in the state of Texas has got a county agent.
Right.
Now here in Smith County, we have 6 agents. And so we've got, let me think, Greg Grant, and I have to go in the order of our offices. Greg Grant is over horticulture. Clint Perkins is over ag and natural resources. Then myself, family and community health. Then we've got Skylar Shively, he is forage and youth development.
Okay.
Then we have Anthony Brown, he is with our Prairie View County Extension Service, so he kind of falls under the Prairie View's umbrella. And so he services the small farmers and ranchers of Smith County, those historically underserved audiences.
Right.
And then we've got a Better Living for Texans County agent, and she is also he or she is also federally funded. And they service the underserved populations of Smith County, specifically in 4 areas. And I'm probably going to get those areas wrong, but I'm going to do my best.
That's fine.
Food and nutrition, chronic disease management, physical activity, and I think the last one is managing food dollars, so that they are able to provide for their families for however long that they need to. So if somebody receives any type of government assistance, maybe WIC or TANF or anything that's out there, the EBT cards, then this person would help them to prepare healthy and inexpensive budget-friendly meals.
Yes.
So that they would be able to stretch those food dollars and not find themselves in a bind.
Correct.
So,
yeah, that was one I was about to say. So for someone to get into the program of getting the help, would they be given the steps when they first get the car, or would it be something they have to reach out and go find to get the help?
So I think that with us now, with Texas A&M, when we go and we do our programs, it's different than with those 2 federally funded resources. With WIC, you go to a WIC office and you sign up for benefits and you get all, your benefits, the educational classes and so forth.
Right.
What we've done in the past, and that's not to say that we can't change however we do things. We're flexible in that we can do that.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily provide any funding for people to help them with purchasing groceries or their housing costs or anything like that. What we do is we provide them education, and that's free of charge on the 2 federal sides of things. Now mine's a little different in that I do charge. So if I do a diabetes class, then it would cost our participants however much, we'll just say $25.
Right.
So that's kind of the difference between what I do and what that BLT is, what Better Living for Texans would stand for, than what she does. But those, and we just hired a new lady, and I'm not going to say because I don't know if that's out in the public or anything like that.
That's
so
fine.
She'll start, I know it's a she, she'll start on October 17th. And then what she would do is she would set up and do educational programs at historically underserved areas of Smith County, stretching all the way from Lindale down to Troop, ARP. I'm trying to think of what's on this side of Chandler, Flint, the whole area of Smith County, which is huge because our population of Smith County is like 200,000.
There's a lot of people.
So many people. So she's going to be able to set up at places like WIC and so forth and teach people how to manage their food dollars. And that is so important on how to teach people how to do that.
Right.
And I know that that's one of the things that we're gonna talk about later on.
Correct.
But, so I'll say that to go back up to the original question of, what I do.
Right.
So, I teach chronic disease management. We are specific into diabetes and hypertension. I also do obesity educational classes, and that's all really around managing what we eat,
Correct.
understanding the foods that we eat. It's got a purpose in our body.
Right.
So, teaching people that is sometimes an obstacle, and I'll say that just speaking of my husband last night. He wanted ribs and potato salad, and I'm like,
What's wrong with ribs and potato
honey,
salad?
yeah, nothing's wrong with ribs and potato salad. But I was like, babe, now come on. We've got to watch our little belly area because we're getting old, so things creep up on us.
Right. Well, I mean,
So-
but not necessarily. But I mean, you're
I have
very.
to get onto 'em.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a very active woman, though.
Yes.
And so you're not just sitting around the house or just working around, playing around the job. But well, I was wondering about say, what can like. I know with me when I was younger, my baby weight came in on me fast. Like I had the belly and everything,
Yeah.
and I still talk a lot of trash too.
Yeah,
I still talk trash, but I noticed whenever I noticed that I always had a problem with my height. So does obesity affect your height a lot, or no?
No, obesity doesn't really affect your height at all. Your height is determined on genetics.
Right.
So it's nothing that you and I can eat. We can't do anything differently on our height.
Right.
Now we can, and genetics does have a huge part on obesity. We can, though, knowing that obesity could be a trigger. So all of my people are big people,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not big people genetically. They're big people because of their eating habits, their lifestyles, and things like that. So my mom had cancer. She passed away when I was 15. She was 46. I'll be 53 in December.
I'm sorry.
So I'm thinking, that's such a long time that, that number one, that she's been gone, but number two, just thinking about the healthy lifestyles,
Right.
that people live. I feel like if we just think about things,
Okay.
like my husband, for example, think about the ribs, think about the potato salad. What does that nutritionally give you? Well, a little bit of protein. The potato salad's gonna have more fat in it because of all the mayonnaise.
Right.
My goal, what I want people to think about is when they fix their plate,
Right.
not 75 to 80% of the time. I'm not saying nobody can do it all the time because none of it, we all fall short.
Right.
So, and I do too.
Right.
And there's times that I want an ice cream. There's times that I want a burger and fries. Man, there is nothing better than a good burger and fry.
I got it about 2 days ago. I fell
Yes.
short. I fell short. I couldn't do it.
Hey, I fell short yesterday. I ain't even gonna lie. So I had a chicken salad sandwich and sweet potato fries, but that was yesterday. I wasn't on my routine, so. But I feel like if people start thinking about their food, when you go somewhere, or when you cook, or when you meal prep, or whatever, if you just think in terms of fixing your plate, where you've got your good rich protein source, where you've got like 4 to 6 ounces of protein, and that's going to depend on what each individual person wants to do. So if I want to, for example, I want more muscle. I don't necessarily want a lean runner look. So if I want a leaner runner look, then I'm not going to eat the amount of protein that I'm eating for what I want to achieve.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I want to eat maybe 4 to 6 ounces of protein, 3 meals a day, and kind of supplement out maybe 2 protein shakes in between, like a 10 and 2 time frame. I'm pretty much on a routine, on a schedule. I know what I like, and I know what works for me.
Right.
But that didn't come overnight.
Right.
And so I think people should play around with their diet, play around with food, track it, because you don't know if you're going to make any progress or not unless you track it.
Right.
I like the MyFitnessPal, and I put my food in. It tracks everything for me. It tracks my carbohydrates, my fats, my proteins. If I'm getting enough vitamin D, and we know that that's so important with fighting off, with helping boost our immune system. Vitamin D, we've got to have it. And if you don't get outside and get enough sun, then taking a good reputable supplement is one of the most important things you can do for your body. So taking vitamin D, but fixing our plates where we know we've got a good amount of protein, a salad, or some veggies or something that's actually gonna give us some nutrients.
Right.
French fries, it's not gonna cut it. I'm sorry, Christopher. Man, I wished it would.
Well, yeah,
Because there's nothing better, like I said, but every now and then, you're good. Have
Right.
it with that ketchup.
Right. Oh,
Or from, in my case, I like it with barbecue sauce.
you like your stuff with
My
barbecue.
French fries with barbecue sauce. Yes.
What about ice cream?
I'm probably a Rocky Road, it's not Napoleon, Neapolitan. What other kind of ice cream do I like? Only vanilla if I'm having peach cobbler.
Oh.
Or apple cobbler or something like that.
You know, I've never had apple cobbler.
It's the best thing ever. The best thing ever. Peach cobbler's really good too. All that is good in moderation. I fix some of the unhealthiest things, not every day of my life, only on special occasions.
Right.
If we're having something at the house, my son-in-law loves peaches and he loves peach cobbler. So I want to keep him in my good graces because I know through his stomach, I get my access to my grandson.
Right.
So I want to keep him happy. So
Right.
I keep him stashed with peach cobbler and ice cream. I mean, I really do. I ain't even gonna lie. Cookies. I took him crumble cookies the other day.
You know, I've never really been a big fan of crumble cookies.
Oh my gosh.
You?
If I was to have to say that my addiction would be the chocolate chip crumble cookie, it's just nothing better. I have to buy it and eat it in the parking lot.
Right.
I can't wait till I get home. I mean,
Keep
it's
going.
got to be right there. Yes. So that's my addiction is chocolate chip crumble cookies.
It's better. My addiction's lately been cheeses.
What is that?
See what I mean?
What is that?
Cheeses are like, you know what goldfish are?
Yeah.
Except they're in square form.
Oh, yeah. The Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I was thinking ice cream or cookies.
Oh no.
Cheez-It.
Cheeses
That's
been
probably-
mine. I know I go through like addiction. Like last month it was chocolate, now it's cheeses.
Yeah, I have, my addictions kind of go different. My office tells me that I have a love affair with my food. I'll love it really good for about a month and then I break up with it. And
Right.
then it's like dead to me, you know?
Well, at least you're able to get rid of it.
Exactly. I agree with
You
you.
done it on your own. So, right. So with that being said, so what's something you prepare for yourself, like for lunch when you come to work? Do you have like a meal plan that you have when you come to work?
So I typically eat chicken, poultry, chicken, turkey, and fish. Those are I will eat beef maybe, I will cycle it in my meal pattern probably 2 to 3 times a week.
Right.
So that I get the good rich source of iron that I know only beef can provide for me. Now, chicken and turkey and the fish also give me iron, but beef gives me a little bit richer of an iron, and most women lack iron, so it's important that we get iron in my opinion, the most natural way, and that's through our food source. I do love organ meats. I will have to say that. I like liver.
Oh goodness.
Yes, I do like liver, but I'm not a good cook of it. So if I go somewhere where I know that they're serving calf liver,
Right.
then I'll order it and eat it because I know it's got a really good source of iron in it, and that's fine, you know. Yeah, it does have a little bit more fat in it, but if I'm careful for what I eat that day and maybe the day before and the day after, I'll be able to balance all of that off. So I do eat a lot of chicken, and I either bake it, I grill it. I do a lot of grilling because I love to grill, and it's just fun for me to do that. So I'll grill my chicken. Same with turkey, or I'll get ground turkey or ground chicken. I'll crumble that up and I'll either make like maybe for lack of better words, I don't necessarily have a recipe, but it's kind of a hash. So I'll have like a layer of my turkey or chicken.
Right.
I can do it with beef as well. Cube up some sweet potatoes, roast them. Cube up some squash and zucchini, roast them. Whatever else I want. Right now, seasonal, you've got all your good squashes, like your butternut squash.
I'm a big fan of squash.
Oh, yes, I love squash. Any kind of squash, spaghetti squash, all of that. So now is the season for that. Brussels sprouts, you can pretty much eat year round. Yeah, I mean, you have access to those, but I like to eat seasonal. And I just think that seasonal, like sweet potatoes, 24/7. I probably eat sweet potatoes almost every day of my life. You
Right.
know, I love that. Green beans, what else? Lots of squash, lots of zucchinis, carrots. I eat carrots. And then whenever the roasting vegetables kind of get old, now it's soup weather.
Oh, yeah.
So I will make a huge big pot of soup. And honestly, it's the same ingredients that I normally cook my ground chicken or my ground turkey or my
Right.
ground beef. Just as if I make that little hash with all those vegetables on top of it.
Right.
I probably add a little bit of bone broth to that just to kind of make it for everything to kind of absorb that just a little bit.
Right.
And it's not a soup, but it has just a little bit of juice in it whenever I'm through.
Right.
I take those same ingredients and put it to a big pot, and that's my soup. But that's where I'll add a little bit more bone broth or beef broth or chicken
Right.
broth, depending on what I'm cooking. I don't necessarily do white potatoes. I do sweet potatoes in that. I'll put carrots in it. I'll put green beans.
Your bowl full of
Peas.
sweet potatoes.
Huh?
Your bowl full of sweet potatoes.
Yes, exactly. My soup is gonna have sweet potatoes in it instead of white potatoes. I like sweet potatoes so much better than white potatoes.
I can tell.
Oh, love them. Every day. What else do I put in soups and stews, stuff like that? You can put kale, spinach, chickpeas, lima beans. I mean, anything you can think of,
Okay.
you
So
can do that.
I have a question. So if someone wants, especially with the holidays, you know, we're in fall season, you know, we're going to start having Thanksgiving, all that stuff.
Yes.
So what would be something families can have like in moderation that could be good, like healthy with them?
So in moderation, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have some sweet potato pie in moderation.
Okay.
I'm not gonna have a huge big piece of pie, but like I just said, I love sweet potatoes,
Right.
and I gotta have sweet potato pie during the holidays. I mean, to me, when we sit down at the holiday table, and you have the attitude of, well, I can't have pie, and I can't have this, and I can't have that because I gotta watch my weight. That's not the right mindset that we need to have. We need to have the mindset that we're gonna sit down at the table, we're gonna enjoy our meal with our family. We're gonna enjoy what grandma made or what mama made.
Right.
Because those people are not gonna be around forever.
Correct.
So eat their food while you can, you
Right.
know? I mean, to me, there is nothing better than to eat good food, home cooked, home style food from
Right.
somebody who really knows what they're doing.
Yeah, because-
So I'm gonna do that, and I would advise anybody, do that. Have you a piece of pie, but what you gotta do is think about it. You can't, the whole week of Thanksgiving, you've got to think about your holiday meal. You gotta think about, well, what are you gonna have after the holiday meal, that
Right.
Friday. So if we're thinking Thanksgiving, we're thinking Thursday and Friday.
Right.
Set yourself up to where you are really watching everything that you're eating. Track, eat good and clean. Don't put in a lot of fats and stuff like that, other than your healthy fats like avocados and so forth.
Right.
So really watch what you're doing. Then Thursday, eat your food, but fix your plate to where it's not going to make you go into a food coma when you get through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how do you do it? How do you see all
So-
this food in your face? How do you?
You get a couple of spoonfuls of everything. Eat a good breakfast of that. Number one, eat a good breakfast. Some people say, well, I'm not gonna eat so I can eat that much more for lunch.
Right.
No, for goodness sake, don't do that. Have you a good breakfast, a good protein breakfast. Have you a couple of eggs, maybe add in some egg whites.
Right.
Because if you do that, the eggs are gonna have a certain amount of fat, a certain amount of cholesterol.
Right.
So if you have 2 eggs and a couple of tablespoons of egg whites doesn't have any fat, but you're adding a little bit more protein to it.
Right.
Have you a piece of toast, about a half an avocado with that, and that's a good, you've got a little bit of carbs, because I'm not a carb hater, I love carbs, but you've got to make sure that you've got a good rich source of protein, you've got a carb, and you've got a good rich source of a healthy fat. So with your avocado, your whole wheat toast,
Right.
nutty seedy bread, and then your eggs for your protein, you're good to go. So you're gonna be full. So I normally eat breakfast between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the mornings. Depends on what my day consists of and where I'm going. So eat breakfast 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's gonna have their lunch somewhere between the 12 and 2 o'clock hour
Right.
on Thanksgiving Day. So about 10 o'clock, have you a protein shake and maybe a banana. Or,
You want to go back for a second?
I'm not gonna go back for seconds.
Oh, good.
No.
But it's sitting right there. Why would you go back
No
and get it?
seconds. I have to tell myself, self-control is a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but where did your self-control come from?
Because my self-control comes from a place where I don't like to feel, I don't like the way I feel when I overeat. My stomach hurts, I feel bad, I'm useless, the rest of the day is just done. I still want to be able to eat a meal where I can feel like doing something, because we're going to have it at my house. We always have Thanksgiving at my house.
Right.
So I got to clean the dishes, and we don't eat on paper plates. I mean, I want my family eating on real plates, real utensils, real servingware.
Right.
We do it good on Thanksgiving.
Right.
You know, when we just play around barbecue and stuff like that, it's paper plates.
Right.
You know? But, so I'm responsible for cleaning everything up. I always let everybody go into the living room, y'all watch football, parade, or whatever's going on the day, you know,
Right.
let me clean up. So I don't want to feel like I have no energy. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I mean,
Right.
it's just, and I have been that way. One time my husband cooked chicken tenders. It was Christmas Eve. So we had to put out all of the presents out of the tree. He cooked chicken tenders, fried with mashed potatoes and biscuits and Christopher. And gravy. I ate so much, I couldn't move. I couldn't help him put out presents.
So you just sat there.
I just laid on the couch. I was useless. So he has forgiven me since then. But I you know, in a way I'm thinking, why did I do that to myself? Why did I do that to myself? So I always try to practice self-control. So when I fix my plate, like I said, I'll have me a snack about 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock, somewhere in between, because I do my pies fresh on Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
So 10 o'clock, I might have put me aside just a little bit of my sweet potato mixture.
Right.
Before I have added my brown sugar and all of that. And so I might have me just like a little bit of sweet potato by itself with all of the seasonings that you would put in a pumpkin pie or a sweet potato pie.
Right.
But without the sugar. So I get that flavor and I get those spices like nutmeg and cloves and all of that.
Right.
And I love those spices. Those are really good fall spices. And maybe add just a little bit of yogurt to it, just to kind of give it a little creaminess. Yeah, like some type of Greek yogurt that's got a lot of protein in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hitting my protein again. And then when it comes time to me eating my lunch,
right.
I'm not just wanting to fill up on everything. I'm
Right.
not wanting to fill my plate with huge portions of dressing, huge portions of green bean casserole. I don't eat green bean casserole. I'm not gonna even lie to you. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I hate it. Who likes that stuff?
I don't know. Just what about a fruitcake?
Yeah, I like fruitcake.
You nasty.
I know. I love it with a cup of coffee.
Oh, you nasty.
Oh my gosh.
That's so nasty.
Yes. Fruitcake coffee. I mean, just bam, bam, bam. Love it.
That's too much
So
for me.
yeah, so that's what I do. But I always start with my turkey. So I always advise people, the first thing you do is go to your meat.
Right.
Go to your meat and get you a couple of pieces of turkey. I'm not a big ham person. I like it, but I just know that it's got a little bit more fat. It's not as lean as my turkey's going to be. So I go for my turkey. I normally pass on the ham, or I'll get a small piece. I like English peas, so I'll get peas. My sister-in-law cooks these white cream peas, and I'll eat those peas. And I eat those because it is in its most natural state.
Right.
She's not added any half and half or cream or butter, all this other stuff that's going to load me down in fat and unnecessary calories.
Right.
So I'll have my peas, my English peas, then broccoli rice casserole. Where do you stand on that?
My thing is, you get me confused because we're supposed to be having a healthy conversation.
But this is a healthy conversation because people, I mean, you can have a couple of spoonfuls of your broccoli rice. I'm going to have a couple of spoonfuls of my dressing and a couple of spoonfuls, but my plate is going to be and a little bit of gravy. So if I've got just a couple of little spoonfuls of both of those, I don't feel like I'm deprived.
Right.
And as long as I don't feel like I'm deprived, then I'm not going to say, well, you know, I did really good here, so that means I can eat a piece of pecan pie, a piece of sweet potato, a piece of pumpkin, buttermilk.
Okay.
And a lot of people have that mindset of, well, I'm going to minimize what I'm eating here, but that's not what we should do, you know.
How'd you go about it?
you should fix your plate. You go for your meats first,
Right.
then your vegetables. Always have a salad. If I go somewhere and I don't know what everybody else is fixing, I know I'm gonna bring something that I know I can add turkey to and add it to whatever I'm cooking, like a salad.
You plan ahead.
Yes, exactly. I plan ahead. So I'll make a nice green salad of everything that I like. It's got strawberries and grapes, feta cheese, nuts and seeds, because those are really good sources of fats that we need to have. They're great for brain health.
Right.
They've got really good sources of minerals in there, so we should always eat nuts. A handful of walnuts every day gives you all of your omega-3s for the day. So, yes. So, and I love walnuts. So anyway, so making a salad, taking it, and then again, like I said, don't deprive yourself from a couple of spoonfuls of all of this other stuff.
Right.
But you're not gonna miss it when you have your plate, and you've got your turkey, and you've got your peas or your salad, and then you've got a couple of spoonfuls of your other stuff over here.
Right.
Your plate is pretty healthy.
Right.
But you've got a few of those little splurges, and those little splurges aren't gonna hurt you.
Right.
But if you do the reverse, you go to the dressing first, and you get half your plate of dressing, half your plate of broccoli cheese, and smother that with gravy, and then a little bit of turkey, a little bit of your peas. You can't do the reverse. So you gotta set yourself up for success, and by exactly what you said, plan ahead, think it through, talk yourself up, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna be self-talking to myself on Wednesday, all the way up until Thursday morning, saying, okay, you got this. You're gonna be able to, when you go in here, you're gonna get your turkey, and in my mind, I see it, I visualize it, and I know I'm gonna do that. Because at the end of the day, I don't wanna mess up everything that I work hard to accomplish with my own health.
Sure.
So that's important to me. So I weigh the odds. What's more important to me? Being mindful of everything I eat, knowing that that could feed a disease or starve a disease.
Right.
So that's kind of what I think on when I eat my food.
Oh, well, that was wonderful. Okay, I do have another question. Okay, so on an average day, so how do you fully balance like doing like being aware of like what you eat and everything? I know that takes a lot of time, a lot of practice to get to that point. So how do you balance with your diet and then like everyone in the house? Like how does that balance? Like, does everyone eat healthy, or is it just you eat healthy and people kind of follow along?
So I tell you, I eat. I eat the same foods. So, and I didn't get to this place overnight. It was kind of a play around and see.
Right.
Some of the recipes that I like, and to me, I like basic food. I don't like a lot of sauces. I don't eat pasta.
Right.
I know I will on occasion. So I'm not like, I don't hate on pasta by no means, you know, but if I go to a good old school Italian restaurant that fixes their pasta homemade, then heck yeah, I do wanna, that's worth me being extremely mindful for the rest of the week. So I will splurge on things like that, but it's pretty much the same foods and through just experimenting. So I know if I eat a protein, regardless of what my protein is, then I balance that off with a green salad, or green beans, or Brussels sprouts, or kale, collard greens, spinach, either raw or cooked. In my mind, I know that that's gonna be my evening plate, because I kinda like to consume most of my carbs between 8 and 2, and then have something green for my dinner. So my protein and my green is always my dinner. Then my protein and my orange is always my lunch, so that would be my sweet potatoes. Or carrots, butternut squash is orange, things like that. Or in the evenings, if I don't have those greens that I just said, I'd either do zucchini and squash together. So that is kind of how I eat day in and day out. And I don't think it's boring, because I can change that up with different sauces. So, and by sauces, I mean not like Alfredo sauce and not those sauces. So there's a sauce that I started having a love affair with, and it's called, is it G.H. Hughes? I can't think of the name. But you can buy it at Walmart or anywhere, and it's sugar free. It has no high fructose corn syrup. My family loves Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
That's a good sauce.
It's awesome.
It's a good sauce.
Yeah. But you know the first ingredient in that?
You want to ruin it for me, aren't you?
I know, I am. I'm going to ruin it for everybody that's listening to this podcast. High fructose corn syrup. Man, what a buzzkill.
What exactly is that?
Well, high fructose corn syrup is a form of, it's probably lack of better words, it's a form of sugar, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But the studies on high fructose corn syrup are really, I guess, kind of alarming when you think about the effects of high fructose corn syrup, especially, and you think of the effects of foods. It affects everybody differently, depends on your age.
Right.
So with children, of course, hyperactivity, you know that whenever kids consume a lot of sugar, they're bouncing off the wall. There's times where if I consume too much sugar, I feel the same way.
Right.
Or if I eat a donut, it can go either way. I either feel like I'm bouncing off the wall, or it feels like I've just taken a Benadryl and I need to go lay down somewhere and go to sleep.
Right.
So it can either put you up real high or real low. If you're diabetic, man, it makes your blood sugar level just skyrocket and then plummet. So you're gonna have harmful effects of that, because your sugar level, if you're diabetic, doesn't need to go, nobody actually,
Right.
doesn't need to go a certain amount. So that's of course one of the downfalls of high fructose corn syrup, but it really has a lot of different effects, adverse effects on your body.
Right.
From your cells, from aging, really for everything. So it's not necessarily something that you should consume on a daily basis. Now, there are times where I will have sweet baby rays, maybe with some sweet potato fries or, waffle fries or something like that. But that's in a moderation. That's not, I don't do it every day.
Okay.
You know, so you gotta think about, stuff like that.
Well,
So,
I guess it's kind of hard to say, but I guess when you're used to, I guess it's like kind of like breaking an old habit. Because
Exactly.
because I feel like when you get into a habit, you kind of realize that it's a habit until you try to fight it.
I agree.
And then it's like a habit. Like with me, like I'm still fighting, like let's say the chocolate or the cheeses.
Yeah.
I'm fighting the cheeses like every day. It's like I know I don't need it, but I go get the cheese. I'm like, fine, I give in and I go get it. But I do have another question.
Okay.
When it comes to like, let's say a family that doesn't have a lot of money, so how could you like plan out like a breakfast, lunch, and like let's say you're a family that always like, I used to have to get up at like 6 in the morning and go get the bus.
Yeah.
So I don't have to leave the house around 6:30. So what's something that a parent may have that's not like really cost expensive to give their kid for like breakfast and lunch?
So I think that I'll tell you one mistake that I made as a parent. Feeding our kids things like Pop-Tarts.
How about to say Pop-Tart?
But I love
It's so
Pop-Tarts.
easy.
I know, and they're so good.
But
They're delicious.
They're so easy to get
The
a hold
chocolate
of.
ones, Lord have mercy, and the blueberry. Okay, we'll get off that so I don't go into my cravings of that. So Pop-Tarts or toaster strudels.
Right.
My
Gotcha.
son loved it, and I felt like as a good parent, I was doing the right thing by giving him toaster strudel. There were times where I'd get up and fix them a good breakfast.
Right.
But like you, we were all busy, and you had to get the bus or get to school at a certain time, and
Right.
life was just busy, and it is for young families. So I would advise them the best thing to do is to think about, number one, what your family likes,
Mhm.
and take inventory of that. If it is pretty much the foods that I just mentioned,
Right.
you need to wean your kids off of that. And if you don't have kids and you're thinking about starting a family, just don't even introduce those foods in there. Let those foods be something that is
Special occasion.
a special occasion. Because whenever I was growing up, Christopher, we didn't have, I'm the baby of 11. My mom and dad, we were dirt poor. We had churches that brought us food. We were on food stamps. My mother, bless her heart, and both my parents are gone now. My dad was a rambling fella, to say it in a nice way.
Oh yeah.
Extreme alcoholic. He was a violent man. So there was, we had that to deal with as kids growing up, which is never a fun thing,
Right.
But I will say this, everything, all of my 53 years, God has orchestrated for a reason. And to me, when you take obstacles away from people, you take away that feeling of when you stand on top of that mountain and you look back over what you have accomplished and what you have just walked through,
Right.
you take that away from people. Now I don't want anybody to go through anything of what I went through, by no means. That was why I worked hard and very diligent so that my children never had to walk the path that I had to walk.
Right.
But at the same time, it was the best lessons of my life. Had it not been for that, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know what my mindset would be to this day.
Right.
Because I knew it was survival mode. You always had to go into survival mode. You always had to go into a mode of, a fight or flight type response. And sometimes that's hard to get that out of kids once you grow up in that, because when we heard our dad coming down the road, he had this old beat up car, pipes, you could hear him coming everywhere.
Right.
Well, when you heard that man coming, Christopher, your window stayed open, so you can jump out those windows and you took off running. You don't hide, you take off. You get away from the house so that you have someplace to go. That was how I grew up. So having no money, no monetary resources. Like I said, when I was young, my parents divorced, so there was only a very few times that that we would have to be extremely mindful and listen for him coming home.
Right.
So, but my mom did the best she could. My mother was a very resourceful woman, so she would hunt. And I remember going hunting with her, and to this day, I still hunt. It's just something that I do.
Right.
My mother would hunt deer. There was several times that, and this is backwoods Arkansas, I'm telling you, backwoods. And she always shot with a 30-30. It'd go in that window, she'd shoot a deer or a doe or a buck or whatever she could find. Most of the time it was a doe.
Right.
We'd go back to the house and we'd clean it, and that's what she would cook. I remember her cooking a rabbit pot pie because that's what we had. But Christopher, there was times where all we had was water and flour, and you made water biscuits, and that was all you had to eat. So my mom, although resourceful in some ways, with food stamps, when we had to move into Texas, we moved out of the country. So we moved away from those resources that you can kind of live off the land.
Mm-hmm.
So the resources we had were, in the form of food stamps, and she'd get a little bit of child support every now and then from my dad, but it wasn't anything she could count on.
So there's still 11 of you.
So actually, let me think. 2 of us have already passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah. So, but I learned a lot of lessons through her.
Right.
She would with food stamps, we would live high on the hog, so to speak, the first couple of weeks, and then after that, when you're through with food stamps, I mean, you didn't go back, you weren't able to get any more. So that's where, the churches knew we were a family in need, like most churches do. So they would bring us boxes of food, and we were always so appreciative to get that, because you knew you would always get those staples like cream of wheat and, and all of this stuff. And so, it was a life lesson growing up.
Right.
But she was very resourceful, at times. And so I will have to say that. But growing up, that taught me a lot of lessons. With my children, it teaches me a lot of lessons. And so I think with nutrition wise, feeding your kids the best you can possibly feed them is one of the most important things. So on the breakfast thing or lunch thing or dinner thing, if you're a new family starting out, I think fixing something that's got a lot of protein in it, whether that's a yogurt cup, eggs in any way, sunny side up, scrambled, whatever. You
Right.
get that rich source of protein. Then some good whole wheat toast. If they like avocado, great. If not, think about another healthy fat that you could add to that, because they need healthy fat for their brain just like me and you do.
Right.
So that's of the utmost importance as well. And then if you think about for lunch, I think a lot of times we think, feeding kids sandwiches are, that's perfectly acceptable. And it is from time to time, don't get me wrong. But if you sit there and read the food label on all of the nitrates and the sodium that's in the lunch meats,
Right.
it's scary. So I would really advise parents to shy away from always feeding your kids sandwiches. So think about cooking once for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 meals.
Right.
You know, depends on your family size. You
Right.
know, if you're a mom that you got to cook for a husband and say 3 kids, that's kind of, or 2 kids, we'll say that's kind of the average. So man, woman, 2 kids. If you are prepping food, it's easy to put chicken in a crock pot and cook it, and then have it as a chicken taco, a chicken
Right.
soup, quesadillas. Oh gracious, pulled chicken sandwiches. You can do chicken and rice. You can do healthy versions of chicken and rice. Now,
Right.
I'm not talking about the chicken and rice where you got 6 cups of cheese on top of it. You know, folks go way overboard with cheese.
That's the best part.
It's a little dab will do you. You know what I mean? I mean, a cup of cheese on top of a casserole dish is perfectly acceptable.
At least 3 or 4.
Not a whole block of Velveeta.
At least 3 or 4 slices. At least
Yes.
3 or 4 cups.
I mean, do you realize how much there's so much cholesterol in cheese? Cheese is good for you, gives you calcium, but there's so much cholesterol in it. So we want to make sure that we're setting our kids up for a good, healthy lifestyle as they grow into adults.
Right.
And so teaching them that a small amount of cheese is fine. Even a small amount of maybe not half and half, but like a heavy whipping cream if you're making maybe a chicken and rice sauce and you want to make it a little creamier,
Right.
we'll say. You know, stuff like that. But I think where we get into a lot of trouble with our food is where we start adding all of this other stuff that's really not food to it.
Right.
You know, I mean, a bowl of chili is great, but when you add that bowl of chili to a big helping of Fritos and cheese and sour cream and you know, and the list goes on and on and on.
Oh, yes.
That's, I know. I love it too, but I mean, that's how parents can, if they sit there and think about, you know, parents are busy, everybody's working, think about putting, like I said, putting chicken in a crock pot, put you a whole chicken in a crock pot. You know, it doesn't just have to be chicken breast.
Right.
And going by what's on sale
Right.
is, to me, if we're thinking about healthy and a healthy budget at the same time,
Right.
a healthy budget means looking at the sale paper and seeing what's on sale. Managing your food, what you're gonna cook for that week around that. I always look at the sale paper. Actually, it's fun to me to look at the sale paper because to me, that's when I plan. I don't plan my meal around what I want, I plan it around what's on sale.
Right.
And then I love to shop at Sprouts. It's just kind of my little, it's small.
It kills me.
Oh, do
It's
you like
expensive.
it? Well, let me tell you though. No, it ain't.
Yes, it is.
No.
My bill's like $150 I go in Sprouts. I don't get that much food, but
No.
I get like a little buggy, it'd be $150.
Yes. First place I go is to the meat counter.
I go there too.
All right, I go to the meat counter, start at the salmon, work my way all the way around the meat counter,
Mhm.
okay? If you watch Christopher and everybody listening to this, they have manager sales that they don't advertise. So going to the grocery store 2 to 3 times a week, it's not wasting time, it's saving you so much money.
Right.
The other day I went in there and they had wings on sale for 99 cents a pound. They had chicken thighs on sale for like 99 cents a
Wings
pound.
for 99 cents.
Yes, salmon. They had salmon on sale. One day because anytime I see a sale, I got a group of folks that I'll text and say, hey, salmon's on sale at Sprouts, go get some. It was like, I don't know, like $3.49 a pound. Salmon's like $15 a pound.
Right.
So if I see it for $3.49 a pound, I'm getting it and putting it in my freezer.
Right.
If I see wings on sale, if I see chicken breast on sale, I'm buying it. So the other day at Sprouts, it was buy one, get one 50% off.
Right.
Now that's not the best sale I've ever seen them have,
Right.
but if you look at the packages, a lot of those packages, whether it's the ground beef or ground chicken or ground turkey, will have like an extra save $5.
Right.
So when you go in there, look for the ticket on the meal that says manager special.
Right.
Okay, so whenever I go through there, I'm looking for the manager special all throughout. And then I start thinking, okay, what meat is on sale?
Right.
And if it's not something that maybe they've got a good sale on everything, well, I'll buy it in bulk and put it in my freezer.
Right.
And then I've got a cheap meal anytime I want it.
Right.
So if they've got like bulk turkey on sale, then I'll buy up, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 pounds of turkey.
That's a lot of turkey.
That's a lot of turkey. But when I get home, I'm gonna prep it. So I'm gonna have probably, let's just say we have 5-pound containers. 5 pounds of it, I'm gonna prep into meatballs. Another 5 pounds, I'm gonna do turkey meatloaf.
Right.
Another 5 pounds, I'm gonna do turkey taco. Then I'm gonna leave some turkey unseasoned so that I can thaw it out and put it in my soups.
Right.
Or if I wanna just do taco seasoning just on the fly,
Right.
you know, then I've got that versatility, I can do that.
So like you have a lot of room in your freezer.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, why would you not? I could prep 100 meatballs just like that.
Right.
And put it, and if you freeze them all individually, now don't put them all in a Ziploc bag. So I'll put them in a cookie sheet, put it in the freezer,
Mm-hmm.
use my ice cream scoop them suckers out just as fast as I can, put it in the freezer, let them harden up real good, then take it out and put it in a Ziploc bag. So whenever I get home, or when moms get home, or dads get home, or kids get home, you can have a meatball for dinner, so you can have a nice healthy spaghetti meatball,
Right.
a spaghetti meatball, a meatball sandwich. If you've got, your kids have got friends coming over, put the meatballs in a crock pot, put some healthy barbecue sauce in there.
No promises.
Yes. And then you've got like a little healthy appetizer there. I mean,
Right.
and who's to say you can't heat up those meatballs? If those kids want meatballs for breakfast, feed them meatballs for breakfast. You don't have to think of foods as eggs, bacon, da, da, da. No. My kids would eat, whenever I would cook a good vegetable-rich hamburger soup, they would want that soup for breakfast.
Right.
And I'd heat them up soup for breakfast. I'll eat soup for breakfast. So, I mean, breakfast food is great, don't get me wrong, but meatballs for breakfast is fine too.
Right.
You know, meatloaf for breakfast is fine too.
I guess, but the Christian youth consider that better than like Pop-Tarts and
Oh,
Buffalo
heck yeah,
cereals. And
any day.
what about
Any day.
cereal?
Oh.
I think some cereals kind of like, what about like Cookie Crisp and Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Oh, Cookie Crisp.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is what gets me.
Lord have mercy. I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I found a cereal at Sprouts, and it's either called
I need this.
Mother's Best or dadgummit.
I can't think of it either. But those cereal boxes are expensive. They're like $5, $6 a box.
But you can get them on sale too for $6. I buy it when it's on sale.
But see, my thing, I never look for sales.
Oh, that's okay. You gotta look for sales. When you go, you need to look at the meat section first.
Mm-hmm.
Plan, grab your meats, whatever you want. Then go hit the veggies and see what the veggies are on sale.
Right.
If broccoli's on sale, I'm gonna buy broccoli. If it's not on sale, I'm not gonna buy it.
Right.
So I know if it's 99 cents or $1.29 for a crown, I'm gonna buy it. And every part of that broccoli is okay to eat. The stalk, you cut it up and you cook it in with the broccoli florets. It tastes just as good.
I do it.
Okay, good. A lot of people cut that off. What a waste.
No, but I don't use like the very, very bottom. But like, I try
Yeah, I'll trim off that little.
Right. But see, my thing is, okay, I gotta ask you this. I know when it comes to positive thinking and everything, like food is a big part. So how do you, it seems like you may turn into something fun to go look for deals. But I know with me, cause I'm gonna call it something like bougie, but like I feel weird getting stuff on sale. Like it feels weird.
Oh, I love it. I'm like, cha-ching, I'm happy.
I know, it just, I think it's just weird, cause like, I guess getting things on sale, I think it's just like weird. I don't know, but I think it's like a mentality you have to break.
Yes.
So would you have a question? So how does your health eating relate to like your mental health?
That is a really, really good question. So I'll tell you this. I know as far as mental health, if I eat, if I'm on top of my game and I eat really good and clean, I make sure I go to the gym every morning. I don't have off days.
You go every day.
I go every day. Now, I don't go hard every day.
Right.
I go hard 3 days a week. The other 4 days are, I do 3 days a week with a trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like my own son and love him dearly. He is my biggest motivator.
Right.
I can't say enough about him. I've been training with him for 4 or 5 years now, and he has helped me to get in probably, I think, the best shape of my life.
Right.
You know, that's good for your mental health too. You know, I think that people don't go to the gym because they don't know what to do, they feel awkward, they feel out of place, blah, blah. Well, get you a trainer. You don't have to go 3 days a week. Get you a trainer for 1 day a week, to where that trainer, and give yourself 6 months. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. We didn't get here overnight.
Correct.
So give yourself 6 months with working with that trainer 1 day a week. If you can afford it more, do more.
Right.
If all you can afford is 1 day a week, then do it. But that trainer is gonna show you how to do all of these other exercises with all of this piece of equipment. You're gonna get used to it, you're gonna get your comfort level down,
Right.
so that you can walk in on the days where you don't have him or her and be able to work out and not think anything about it. I
Right.
mean, if Josh tells me, on the days him and I don't work out together, if like today, I knew I had to work on shoulders.
Right.
I've been with him for 5 years, I know where I need to go, how many I need to do, what my weight needs to be. He's trained me to be able to do that.
Right.
Now, could I work out on my own now without him? I could. Would I be as effective? No, because I'm not going to push myself.
Right.
He's going to push me.
Correct.
And he's not going to take no for an answer. Or, oh, Josh, this is too heavy. That, you don't say that.
Right.
You know,
Right. You keep
you
going.
do it exactly.
Right.
And you may have to take a break, but you do it. That plays into your mental health. The food that you eat plays into your mental health because, and I say this for. I would say mostly women, but I would say some guys also struggle with this, is that feeling of regret after you eat something that you know you shouldn't have.
That's a weird feeling.
Yes, man. My husband and I, like I said, we went somewhere yesterday, had a funeral I had to go to, and we had lunch together before. And we had talked up, you know, hey, we're going to eat, you know, I'm going to have salad, blah, blah, blah. And when we got there, well, you know.
There was no salad.
No, there were salads, but we didn't choose the salad. He wanted the he wanted the daily special.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you know, I hadn't had chicken fried steak in so long, so I think I want chicken fried steak, green beans, and gravy. I was like, okay then, well, I'm gonna have the chicken salad sandwich and sweet potato fries.
Right.
You know, which isn't as bad. It could, my choice could have been a lot better, but
Right.
you know, it wasn't as bad. But I regretted it after I ate. I did, because I was thinking, you know, that chicken salad's got a whole bunch of, this is a different chicken salad, so it had like cream cheese in it. And,
Oh, the good stuff.
yeah, but oh, Christopher, I felt like, I just did not feel myself.
Right.
And that plays into your mental wellness. So you start beating yourself up and you think, you know, and some people have negative self-talk. And we've got to stop that.
I have that sometimes.
Exactly. We've got to stop looking in the mirror saying, oh my gosh, I have heard people call themselves fatty. Fatty, stop, you know, don't call yourself that.
Right.
Because what you speak is what it is.
Right.
So don't speak that out loud. You know, look in the mirror and say, okay, you know what? I ate chicken salad today. So what? Tomorrow, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have my lean source of protein. I'm going to have me a rich, I'm going to treat myself today to my
Right.
favorite salad ever at Piatto's Farmer's Market. Double protein and all these good veggies and lettuce and all that good jazz. So that's what I'm going to treat myself to. And that's what I have to think about. I
Right.
could say, you know, forget it. I'm just going to treat myself to another crumble chocolate chip cookie, and I just might get 6 of them, and I'm just going to eat every one of them. Why bother?
Right.
No, you just got to hit that reset button, and every day's a new day.
Right. Well, I do have a question. So, how, when you deal with that voice in your head, like, how do you fight it, or do you like try to reason with it? Because
there's no reasoning with it.
there's no reasoning.
You have to overtake it. You have to dismiss that. You have to tell whatever that voice says. You know, you shouldn't have done that. You know, why'd you think about that? No, I mean, my voice, the positive voice in Claudann says, you know what? Every day is a new day.
Right.
Tomorrow is fine. Allow yourself. If we don't allow ourselves some, not necessarily cheap meals, but a splurge.
Right.
Then that's where I think that negative self-talk gets louder, and you can't let that happen.
Right.
So I'm going to say, like yesterday after I ate that chicken salad, I honestly was still full, so I didn't eat dinner. I always have me a cup of coffee though at 4 o'clock. That's kind of my.
That's late.
Yes. I love it. I'm typically in bed by 6:30.
Oh, you go to bed early.
I am, and 3 o'clock I am up. I am just wide open, and the morning times is the time. So I try to eat early so that everything digests. But say that to go back. But mental health is of the utmost importance, and you have to fight those negative feelings, and you have to overtake those negative feelings or that negative self-talk and dismiss it and then change your mindset. So you can't just sit on that couch with the TV in front of you thinking, oh boy, I've just messed this up royally. Why even bother? Why do I? No, put your tennis shoes on, get up and go for a walk. Get some fresh air. Put some music on, because music always tends to make me want to move.
Correct.
So find those things that make you want to move, that makes you want to get up and go, that makes you want to, because at the end of the day, we all want to go home and just sit down and do nothing.
That's something I know that people get into a cycle of doing. They'll wake up in the morning. But see, I know it's with me, I know I kind of run into like a rotation where it's like, first I want to do when I get on, want to watch TV, I want to do this, but see, like, it's like, but I noticed that little voice in your head, but it's like, well, it's like, this is a safe thing to do, to watch TV and then I go to bed, but it seems like I want to progress further, better, and be the better person I could be, but I'm not being the better person I can be if I'm doing the same thing over and over again.
Agreed. And it's up to us to change that, whatever we want to do. It is up to me to change my body composition. It is up to me to plan the time to prep my food. If I truly value and prioritize my lifestyle, my eating, my health and wellness, because I want to be around for a long, long time.
You sound like
I want to be able to jump. I want to be able to jump rope. I want to be able to chase my great grandkids. I want to be able to do all this stuff.
Right.
So that is the reason for doing what I'm doing to this day, because I want to be around for them for as long as God gives me breath on this earth, and it's His will. But He also allows me a free will, and so kind of like those crumble cookies, you know. It's not necessarily the best thing for me, but it's not bad for me as long as I only do it maybe once a month. I know I can't do it any more than once a month. But I look forward to it that one time where I know I can sit in that parking lot and devour that cookie.
You only get one.
Only get one, yes, Lord have mercy. Only one, and it's like this little treasure until I get to my car.
Right.
And I park way over here because I know I'm like, oh, this is so good. I love this. But so that's kind of my little cheat thing. But the voice in my head, I don't even hear it when I'm eating that crumble cookie. And you want to know why? Why? Because that month I have been so good.
Right.
So it's that one cup, that one cookie. I'm not going to let that voice lie to me and tell me that cookie is what's going to mess up my eating or my disease management or my weight or any of that stuff, or my heart or my whatever. No.
All right. Okay. There's just an understanding. Let's say for instance, like, let's say I know healthy eating helps a lot of things with mental. So like, let's say one day you do get stressed. Like, what's something that I guess you say you used to do and what you do now to help with stress? Kind of with me, I eat a lot.
Yeah. Well, but you're a guy. You can pretty much guys they metabolize their food differently than what we do. So you guys, y'all can have more calories than what we can, you know.
Right.
But I think unhealthy, what I would do is probably eat a double bacon, double meat cheeseburger with fries and just eat every bit of it down. That would be a stress meal. Now what I do is, if I'm stressed, I'll eat a bag of popcorn. Individual bag. Not the big, you know, which if you get the bags that's 100 calories, a big bag of popcorn, man, it's not gonna hurt you. You know what I mean? And I'm also gonna have, if I know I'm stressed, if I know I'm really, really tired, that's when I tend to go off the grid and wanna eat anything and everything I can. So I'll have something like a Lara bar, or I like the Cliff bars, I like the Kind bars. There's another one, macro bars. They're really good too.
Never heard of them.
They're good. You can get them at Sprouts.
Oh, goodness.
Of course, Sprouts has everything you could ever imagine, and more, and more.
And more.
But that's, so now it's pretty much popcorn. Trail mix is so healthy for you. However,
here we go.
Man, how many times do you just eat a handful of trail mix?
Oh, eat the whole bag.
Yes, exactly. So I can't buy. I know I can't buy trail mix because I'm gonna eat the whole bag too. So I don't buy things that I can't control. I can't control trail mix. What else is things I can't control?
So is there a way to combat that, or do you just stay away from it?
Stay away from it. I don't buy it. I don't bring it in my house. If I want it, if I'm craving something, I will buy an individual bar.
Right.
Like Justin's peanut butter cups, that would be another treat
Right.
that I would buy for myself. But I'll only buy one package.
Right.
And I'll eat it whenever I'll eat it when I'm leaving Sprouts, headed back to my apartment, and that's my little, that's my little pat on the back for being a good girl for the week.
Right.
My little splurge, my little,
Oh yeah, that's completely. And so, okay, so whenever you have your food, does your husband, is that like, how do you get your family involved with your healthy eating?
So it's just me and my husband, since all my children are grown and
Right.
out of the house and having their families now.
Right.
So he's pretty much on the same level I am. If he wants something like ribs and he's barbecuing, then I'll say, hey, I like ribs, okay, I really do.
Right.
But I would rather at this point have salmon on the grill, chicken on the grill, turkey tenderloins on the grill, wings, stuff like that. I would much rather, so he'll balance that off and he'll cook me what he knows I want. If we do burgers and he wants a beef burger, I like turkey burgers. No, I do like beef burgers. Sprouts has got some really good beef burgers, by the way, that are already made up, and I got some on sale. I like 99 cents a pound. I bought all that they had.
Oh goodness.
Yes, and so I have burgers in my freezer. So when I get home and I think, oh man, I didn't meal prep, or it was a busy week or whatever, pop one of those out, put it in that frying pan. If I always keep canned veggies, I always try to prep fresh, and I'm pretty 90% on that. But from time to time, maybe I get tired or something, and I'm kind of at that phase right now, and I'll open up a can of green beans and eat that with that. So there's a meal I do that. So we just balance that out. He loves the same veggies I love, so he's easy to cook for.
Right.
He likes white rice, I like brown rice, so I'll cook both for both of us.
Right.
He loves salmon. So I know if, and there's times where I'll say, like gumbo. He'll want to make gumbo. Now I'm gonna eat some gumbo.
Right.
I want it with white rice, then I want my white rice.
Right.
And then I want some crackers too, some saltine crackers.
Right.
And that's gonna be my meal. So I'll eat gumbo, I don't, like I said, I'm pretty much spot on Monday through Fridays. And then the weekends, if there's an area that I need to splurge, since I have kept it under control, then I'll splurge,
Well, I was say, because you're way better than me. Cause I've seen I always make sandwiches for let's say for work. Let's say when you say you bring, so do you cook at home and you bring it to work? But see, I always make sandwiches.
Or I'll cook here. If I haven't had a chance to cook something at the house, I've got a kitchen in there that I'll put me a sweet potato in there, or crumble up some chicken or turkey or whatever, and I may just cook it here.
Right.
So, and I know not everybody's got access to a kitchen at their work location or anything. So
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are discouraged when it comes to meal prepping and things. Cause I feel like that's really it's really time consuming. Cause I know I'll make for lunch, I'll make a bunch of sandwiches and I have them already prepared.
Yeah.
So when I come home, I can just throw them in my lunch bag and then go about my business.
Exactly.
But see, that took time. But it's how do you fully? What's what's your biggest what's your motor that's I don't like doing it, but you were doing it anyway. How do you fully take over that other voice? I know I asked it a while ago, but how do you really combat to be we gotta do this and then get consistent and not listening and then meal prepping.
Well, that voice is always gonna be there, number one. And if you can't find what works best for you to be louder than that voice, and that's what you just have to do. So, and like I said, you can either take a walk, change your mindset, listen to music, whatever type of music you listen to, depends on what I'm doing, depends on what I need.
Correct.
If I need a little bit more of if I'm lifting heavy weights, I need some heavy metal music.
Right.
You know what I mean? I need some
to kickstart you.
Exactly.
Right.
That is my kickstart.
Right.
If I'm doing legs, I kind of like a little rap. I kind of like a little hip hop,
Right.
sort of thing, something a little bit more slow.
Right. Depends on what you're doing.
Exactly.
Are you a fan of legs?
Actually, I am.
I'm not. I can't stand legs.
Yeah. I like it all, to be honest with you. I honestly enjoy leg day. I enjoy upper body day. I had to ski 3,000. Well, my trainer told me at the end of our session, he said, if you've got time, go ski for about 2,500 meters. But I'd really rather you do 3,000, but if you can get 2,500, that's good. In my mind, I gotta make 3,000.
Right.
So that's the value of having a trainer, because you've got that mindset of a coach.
Right.
And he wants 3,000 meters. What's good enough? 2,500 or 3,000?
3,000.
3,000.
Right.
So 3,000 was what I did, nonstop.
All the way through.
All the way through, nonstop, all the way through. Now, I wasn't like rolling 100% hard on it, you know what I mean? I had to pace myself to get through, because that's like 1.86 miles.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And the only reason why I know that is because I was thinking on the way back from the gym, I thought, I wonder how many miles is 3,000 meters? And I thought, well, look at there, 1.86, heck yeah.
And you did it.
And without stopping.
Right.
So, yeah, so I feel proud on things like that. So, I mean, I like leg days, I like arm days, I like high intensity training, I like rowing, skiing, the assault bike, the assault runner. I like it all.
All right.
The battle ropes are so much fun.
No.
Yes.
I've never really gotten, like, I used to play football, but like, I never really got into like a rotation of like, have like a set schedule.
Yeah.
So like, what's like the importance of a set schedule? Because like, in the morning you go to the gym, at this time you'd be at work, this time you get off work. So what's like the most effective way to set up a schedule for like a day?
Well, for me, I like my schedule being at the gym from 4:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4:30 to 6.
You get up at 4 in the morning?
3.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I like that hour in the mornings before I head off to the gym to pray, meditate, drink me a couple of cups of coffee, splash a lot of cold water on my face, maybe take a shower, just chill.
Right.
Before my day hits, I like to do that. It just is kind of how it's my routine.
Right.
And
how do you meditate?
different ways. So I have a mat that I like to do. I stretch for probably about, if I can get in a good 30 minutes of stretching and mobility before I go to the gym, I try to do that. Because I know as we age, you gotta keep your body limber.
Right.
And I don't wanna have back issues. I don't wanna be all humped over. I wanna be able to I know for me to have the best workout I can, I've got to put a little bit of time before I get to that gym.
Right.
So I do a lot of praying and meditating, I guess. It's kind of what I call it while I'm doing my mobility.
Right.
So I have my picture of Jesus that is right there with me.
Right.
And I go through my prayers of watching over my family, areas I need to work on, my relationship with Him,
Right.
because I feel like that's the most important relationship anybody can have in their lifetime is with Him. He's my maker, He's my creator. He knows me better than anybody else and loves me in spite of everything.
Right.
And so I think it's the most beautiful relationship you could ever have. So to say that, I'll have a couple of cups of coffee. I'll talk to God pretty much throughout the morning,
right.
Praying for, this morning I've got a good friend that's in Fort Myers, Florida. And with the Hurricane Ian that came through yesterday evening overnight, I'm so concerned about her. So prayed for her. I did watch a little bit of TV, but other than that, I never watch TV. It's just, I don't turn it on, ever.
You don't watch TV?
Mm-hmm.
No movies, no nothing?
Mm-hmm.
How you get to be at that?
Oh, love it. I would never go back.
How do you do it?
You just turn it off.
You know how hard it is to fight it? Especially at the middle of the night. It'd be like 9:30 at night. I'd be on my phone for like 2 hours.
I've been in bed for 4 hours at 9:30, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 hours. Yeah, no, you just gotta turn it all off. Because I know if tomorrow's gonna be a fresh day, I want it to be as fresh as possible, as much strength, as much stamina, endurance, I want it all. In order for me to do that, it's all gotta get turned off.
Right.
You know, and if we look at mental health, I stopped watching TV a long time ago. Now, I don't get on Facebook. I did this morning because I knew that there were some live storm chasers in the Florida area.
Right.
That another mutual friend of this lady's had texted me and said, hey, you can keep up with Fort Myers here.
Right.
And so I did do that, but otherwise I don't get on Facebook. I don't, I think that if you want as much positivity coming into your life as possible, you have to bring that in.
Right.
I don't want Facebook bringing in what they think is positivity in my life. I sure don't watch the news. It's
Right.
usually the first thing that's positive about the news.
Right.
Don't watch it. I don't watch TV shows. I like to read. I like to read books on nutrition, physical activity, spiritual books.
Right.
Not necessarily business books, but books that are how to make you a more productive of a person.
Right. Positive living.
Yeah, exactly. Positive living. I mean, that's I think what we should all be feeding ourselves, not what somebody else thinks I need to hear
Right.
in the manner that they need, and from their perspective.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so easy to get caught like within the like nonsense and everything. 'Cause, like I always know people will always be like, I need to get home. To do what? Just sit at home and watch TV.
Exactly.
It's like productivity. It's like, but like, where do you know that there's a lot of people that like do you think that comes from like unhealthy living? Do you think that's from like the mindset that they have? Because a lot of people are like stuck in that mindset of just being like in a cycle of get off work, watching TV, go to bed, wake up, do it over again.
Exactly. I think people are in a cycle of doing that, but it's going to have to be from within their self. If they're going to make any of these changes, they're going to have to be sick and tired of whatever it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I saw this the other day on Instagram. There's quite a few fitness folks and nutrition folks that I follow on Instagram.
Right.
Love it. And one said, choose your hard.
Right.
Obesity or getting up and going to the gym. Which one's harder? Choose your hard. You know, hypertension versus a bad diet.
Right.
Which one's harder? And if I think about fighting cancer, I want to think about the foods and the way I live my life so that I can do that. Because right. Which one's going to be harder? Taking chemotherapy, all those shots, all those treatments? I don't want that. So I'm going to choose my heart this way.
Right.
And my heart's going to be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, having that time of meditating, praying, mobility exercises, stretching, getting my day started, drinking those cups of coffee. That is, and then hitting to that gym. And that is as routine as me putting my shoes on or grabbing my glasses or getting a bottle of water or it's got to be that routine. And it takes time, lots of time. And you can't give up. And even if you mess up, maybe you mess up 5 days in a row, 7 days in a row. Well, tomorrow's a new day.
Right.
Just get back up and start again.
Right.
You know, I mean, if everybody just stopped at every point in your lifetime when you get kicked down, you're never going to rise above all of this stuff that you have, that you get to look back over and say, man,
I went through that.
And look at me now.
Right. Wow. I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's just, I don't know, because it's like, I believe a lot of people are like down on themselves a lot, and I feel like people are like stuck in that mindset. That's why I've always believed that people portray how they feel. But I say hurt people.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like people are hurt, but it's like, I feel like what can you tell someone that's like, especially if somebody feel like they're not in the wrong. It feels like that everything is okay, but when it's reality, it's not. So how do you tell somebody that's like dealing with like mental health and like get them on a positive mindset, especially if they're used to giving up after the first go? Yeah. And then they do is like, oh, I failed, that's it. I've always been one to be like, well, I failed once. I mean, you gotta learn from your mistakes. So what can you tell someone that's like always in their head and have that other voice be the primary voice?
There's a book called, I think it's called, and it's by Jenny Allen, and it's called Getting Out of My Head. And she addresses exactly what you're talking about, is having that mindset. And I would have to say that it would really depend on the person, and if they're true blue going through depression and things like that, then they need to go to a doctor. And if that doctor prescribes them medicine, then they need to get on that medicine. And if that's what it takes to help them get out of this, that may be what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? I do think that some people need that medication help.
Right.
And if so, I wouldn't feel down about doing it, nor would I feel down about being diabetic and having to take insulin or high blood pressure medicine or thyroid medicine. It's a disease, just like anything else is. And some people, I don't know if they don't want to come to that reality or they're ashamed or whatever, and they refuse to go get on medication.
Right.
No, go do it. So I would say, first and foremost, go to a doctor. If that person needs a counselor, go to a counselor. There's so many counselors right now. There's a counselor everywhere you look at.
I know.
So go seek professional counseling.
Right.
I think that's a great thing. I think as a friend to another person, you have to never give up on them, and you have to always try to help them get out of their head by telling them, look, just because you did this for 6 days, tomorrow's a new day.
Right.
Get up and start again. It will kick in. You just can't give up. And motivate them.
That's the hardest part, especially whenever you're trying to help them all the time. So how do you keep your patience? Like, especially with like a friend.
It's hard. I tell you what, I was thinking about that this morning, and it's a family member that is always in his head.
All right.
And he always has something negative to say.
Okay.
So I always try to. He'll get on the phone with me and he'll start talking, and I'll say, well, I'll try to change the subject.
Right.
Or I'll think real hard on everything that they're saying and say, well, in a week from now or 6 weeks from now, when you get through this phase of your life, you're going to be able, trust me, you're going to be able to look back on this and say, okay, this is an obstacle that I have overcome.
Right. And
you're going to get a good sense of self-worth, and they don't always listen to that, and I understand that.
Right.
But you know what? So I was thinking about that young man this morning, and I tried calling him, and for whatever reason, I could never get the phone to go through. I tried like 3 or 4 times, and I said, okay, God, I get what you're saying. You're telling me now it's not a good time.
Right.
And so I feel like, I know God directs me, and I have to be open. I have to listen for him. I have to be watching for him, because he's everywhere if people just watch for him, So I held off, and I'm going to wait until God tells me when to call him, and he'll tell me, or that young man will call me. And you can't give up on him. Jesus didn't give up on anybody, and no matter how, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you've done, where you've gone, how bad you think you might be. Absolutely does not matter to him.
Correct. And
so if that is the way I'm supposed to be, then I have to think his way and say, okay, God, you know how bad this hurts right now, and you know what's going on, God. But I hear you, and you say now's not the time. So your time is perfect, and that's the time that I want, because I know that that's when the changes will take place.
Right.
So if you pray for that person. Pray hard for that person. Lift them up in your prayers. Have other people pray for them, and tell that person, and send them a text message. Hey, I was thinking about you. I just wanted to let you know that I was praying for you. Just praying for strength, praying for the ability to overcome whatever obstacles you've got in front of you, to change your mindset. In my house and apartment, because I live in 2 different places, I have notes up to remind me of this same thing, because I know I'll get stuck in my head too. We all do. So I've got a note that says, God is the lifter of my head. So I know when my head is down and when I feel like I'm in the dumps or whatever, then that gives me that middle picture of God taking his hands and lifting my head up to him and saying, you've got this, I've got you, we're gonna get through this, just hang in there. His picture everywhere. I've got a picture of him on the cross, and that cross has got my name on it. and it was an artist that I had to draw it. It was my vision, it was what I wanted him to draw for me, and I told him what I wanted, and he nailed it, you know, of Jesus nailed to that cross, and it's my reminder every day that that's what he did for me. So there's things that I've got to do back. I've got to give back to other people.
Right.
And those are ways that help me. These are ways that we can tell other family members, you know, look, write yourselves little notes. If, you know, have books around that help you get motivated out of this negative mindset or this depressive mindset that you're in and so forth. And, you know, I've got a sister that I love more than anything, and we're two totally different people. Went through the same things in life, but went down two different paths. And I pray that she understands her full worth before she leaves the face of this earth.
Right.
Because I don't think she does, and I think her past has overconsumed her.
Right.
And I think a lot of people allow that to happen. I think mental wellness is probably one of the most important things that we can address. More so, I think, than anything else, to be honest with you.
Well, let me ask you this. The main question I think a lot of people never ask themselves is, do you love yourself?
Exactly. You're right. Wholeheartedly, and I never thought about that. And I do think you have got to love yourself.
Right.
You gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
Right.
You have to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, how in the world can you love anybody else?
Right.
You know, and if you look in the mirror and you are constantly saying bad things, and that self-talk is constantly just negative thoughts,
right,
then how in the world are you going to be able? So there's so many things that people that get in that deep, dark, depressive state
right,
have got to do, but they need to meet, in my opinion, professional help,
right,
and that would be a doctor, either medicine or a counselor, a good friend network. If we think about all of those pillars of good health that are really being promoted right now, spirituality is one of the most important things as well. Spirituality, eating right, exercise. Exercise helps with mental wellness. I mean, it makes you feel good. It just does. I mean, it releases those endorphins that are endorphins that make you feel great about life, great about yourself, and things like that. So all of that, there's so much about the human anatomy, the human mind, the human everything that is, I think God made us in a very intricate way, and He thought about everything. And so I think it's a really cool thing to study, number one. But like I said, helping those folks that need help, to me, is one of the most important things we can do.
Right. It just, I believe, it's mainly based off the patience, I believe, is what it is. It's just, I think life is really about patience, but I feel like, especially at a young age, I feel people feel like they're out of time. A lot of people are feeling like unsuccessful at like 18, 19 years old, and feel like their life is just like over from that point.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you. They do, and I think that's probably why we have the suicide rates the way we have them. You know, is because that they don't see. Well, and I'll tell you what, there's so many things when you think about a person's the way they were brought up, and their moms and their dads and so forth. Okay.
You look wonderful.
Oh, fantastic. We were talking about patience, and we were talking about
Patience, mental stability, and then people who aren't able to like process, but especially when it's like loving yourself. Like, I feel like people don't ask themselves that question a lot. A lot of people gonna say no. Yeah. But my thing is, how can you hate someone you are 100% of the time? Like, behind closed doors, you're with you 100% of the time.
Exactly. I totally agree. And so I'll say this, I talk out loud a lot.
Me too.
Good. So there's nothing wrong with this. You know what I mean?
Right.
We are perfectly normal. Okay.
Right.
And then I talk to God a lot of times just as if He was standing right here beside me.
Right.
So if I can't find something, I'm like, God, please help me find this. And He always does.
Right.
You know. So I think that self-talk, I think having that conversation with, if you're a believer, that conversation with God or whoever your supreme being is, I think that helps. And I think that sometimes we just need to learn what healthy ways of dealing with stress, dealing with mental illness, and that's going to come from that doctor, that counselor, those close friends who can advise you in that way. But a lot of times trauma from earlier experiences in life as kids growing up.
Right.
Trauma wreaks havoc on so many things
Right.
in a person's body, from a depressive mind state to bulimia to eating disorders. I mean, to everything.
Right.
So at a certain point, everybody's got to deal with everything that they've had to deal with.
Right.
You know, whether that's, I don't know, talking to people or having one good trusted friend or counselor where you can talk about that and get the healing that you need.
Right.
And I think you can move forward from there. So it's a big process. People that are going in that deep depressive, negative self-talk, not loving themselves, I think that's something that needs serious help, because I don't think me or you, I don't think that's something, I don't have the knowledge to be able to help them redirect their mindset
Me either.
in a clinical aspect like those trained counselors can.
Right.
I mean, they can do wonders with people.
Right.
So if you've got a friend like that, I tell anybody this, tell your friend, look, I'll go with you.
Right.
You know, tell your friend, look, I've thought about going to counseling myself too.
Right.
Why don't we just go together?
Right.
You know, and go with them. And if that's what motivates them, great. Call them, say, hey, let's go for a walk, or hey, let's go, you know, and you do have to have patience like nobody's business, because there's so many times where, with the young man I was telling you about earlier, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm done, I'm done, I'm not calling you, you know, and
Right.
boy, I'll get that
Train
negative,
going.
exactly, and that's when that voice comes in and says, you're done with him, you know, don't call him, you know, let him steep in his own misery,
Right.
this is what he asked for, you know. And then I think, that's not the right way to think about this.
Right.
This is somebody I love with my whole heart.
But-
Why would I do that?
Right. It's so easy though. It's like,
Especially when you're hurt on the other end.
right. Especially when it's like that, like their mood affects your mood.
Yes.
And you know, you protect your mood with everything you love.
That's right.
So it's like, so your body naturally gonna be like, we're hurting, let's cut this part off
Yeah,
so we
cut
can
the cord.
cut the cord.
Exactly.
So it's like, well, I mean, it's like, how do you, it's like, I don't know how to really, I know with me, whenever I get upset, I know what I do. Usually I would try to meditate, walk around the house. I would try to find little knick-knack stuff to, like, I try to clean the house.
Yeah.
I'll do little knick-knack stuff to help me with my mental. But it's like, when it's somebody that you love, it's kind of hard to be like, be different with like a friend or a
Co-worker.
or something. You'd be like, okay, I'm just done with it.
Yeah.
But when it's somebody you love, it's kind of hard.
Oh.
But it's like, how do you get that person to the point to where they're like, 'cause I know I have a counselor. So how do you get to a point where like that person will get help and like take the medication? I feel like people feel like medication, but then about it is, you're supposed to take that medication for now. You're not supposed to take that medication forever. The medication is supposed to help you get to a state of mind where you can help yourself.
Exactly.
And then get off of it.
Exactly.
But see, some people get addicted to it and stay on them forever. 'Cause I think people don't like dealing with trauma.
Yeah. Oh, at all.
Because like folks don't want people don't want to open that same wound that would hurt them before.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of times people don't know about it, their mind just please shut it off.
Oh, I totally agree.
And I'm pretty sure you need someone professional help to do, cause like stuff you went through as a kid can have longevity effects on you as an adult.
Exactly. It stays with you forever.
Yes.
You know, and the trauma that people go through in life, if they don't deal with it, then it's gonna deal with it in another way as they get older, whether that is
trust issues
or bodily stomach ulcers, heart issues, stress issues. Maybe you still feel that stress from that childhood trauma that you've never dealt with. And so I think that all of that stuff, like you said, you've got to deal with it. It's got to, because it will manifest itself and it'll come out in probably some of the oddest ways you've ever thought about. You know, I mean, losing parents. My son the other day, I'll tell you this, I say the other day, it was probably about 5 years ago. I was cleaning the house. I got this one picture of my mother, and she killed a turkey. You know, I said she was an avid hunter. And she always had that trusted 30-30. She took everywhere with her. That was like my mother's gun. It was the prized gun. So when my mother passed away, that was handed down to one of my brothers. But I've always wanted to buy a gun that looked like that.
Yeah.
So my baby boy that is 26 now, I think he's 26, he was about 21, was at a gun show in College Station, and he called me, he's like, Mom, now he's never met my mom.
Right.
She passed away, like I said, when I was 15 years old.
Right.
I had him when I was, I don't know, how old was that? That's regardless. Anyway,
Okay.
so he calls me and he says, hey, I'm at this gun show and I think I found a gun that is the replica of your mom's gun. And I said, well, how do you know what my mom's gun looks like? He says, well, Mom, that picture that you have on, this certain table in the living room.
Right.
And in my mind, and so Christopher, it hit me, it flooded me. My emotions just came out. And my mom's been gone for 53 and 40 years. She's been gone almost 40 years. And I just lost it. And I was crying hysterically. And my poor son said, Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. And I said, you didn't upset me, but it touched my heart so much that you have looked at that picture of my mom.
Right.
And admired her gun and admired my mother, because I never got to introduce you to her. You never got to see her. You never got to meet her. And so now that I know that you have that connection with her, it just makes my heart swell with emotion and pride. And I love that you thought enough of me to love my mom.
Right.
Even deceased.
Right.
So, and was that a childhood trauma? Probably a little bit.
Right.
I would imagine. A little sadness, a little bit of everything. But I have a brother, though, to this day, that will sob as if she died yesterday. He's never been able to get over my mom's death. Never. And that's another reason why I feel like what I do every day matters, because I don't want to put my kids through that. I don't want to put my grandkids through that, or my great-grandkids.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. 'Cause I already know I want 3 kids. I came up with the name of them and everything.
Awesome. What's their names? Can you say?
Yes, Brandon Quintero,
Okay.
and then Sora Nina,
I like that.
and then Victor Sultan.
Victor Sultan. That sounds so posh, so bougie.
I know.
What's your name? Victor Sultan?
Oh yeah, I feel like
Victor Sultan Hawkins. That's a doctor, a lawyer. It's gonna have to be a lawyer.
Oh yeah, he'll talk a lot of trash.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, yeah.
But see, my biggest fear is not being a good father. Mm-hmm. That's a fear of mine, and nothing against my father, because everyone goes to have their own relationship with their fathers in different ways.
Yeah.
But I'm always worried about like my kids. I know I don't want me being unsuccessful to affect them, because like the same way you look at your parents, they're gonna look at me. Mm-hmm. Like my father, let's say I don't become anything. Let's say my father is a janitor at a high school. Like I'm not gonna be able to put them in a position to be great. I want their lives to be easier, but I want them to also understand that I also want them to work for something. Yeah. But I don't want my problems to be the reason why they have to work harder for it.
I totally agree.
So like let's say me. I know I know also I want. Mm-hmm. Big and beyond. I got big dreams.
Yeah, good.
And it's like
your dreams should scare you. They should be so big that they scare you.
They do scare me. There's a lot of stuff I want.
Awesome.
But it's like I just don't want my kids to get caught up in the whole thing of me being successful. Cause let's say now I'm learning to take if out of my vocabulary when I get to my point.
Right.
It's like I don't want my kids to feel like they have to live up to what I've accomplished. Let's say Sora wants to go become a doctor, become like a teacher or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
She want to be a teacher, she want to be an RA, like she want to be something simple, that's perfectly fine.
I agree.
But I always feel bad, I feel like kids at a young age, like they have to live up to like their parent expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Or somebody that they follow on social media.
Right.
The expectations of kids nowadays is just, I could not imagine what kids have to go through. All the information that they have to process, all the emotions they have to process,
right.
All of that. And to me, I think as long as you love your children with all your heart,
right.
And you put them in environments where they're always learning, right. I hope, looking back at for my grandchildren, what I want for my parents, if I could talk to the 25-year-old Claudann, and the 21, because I was 21 when I had my firstborn son, mm-hmm. The 21-year-old Claudann, versus the 53-year-old Claudann and the mom then, is to have a little more patience. It's easy until they start school to me.
Right.
And then when they start school, man, that's when it's gonna try your patience like nobody's business. Those spelling words, those math problems, learning those vocabulary words, all of that stuff. Gracious alive.
So how are you able to balance like work and family life? Or you just don't know how you did it?
I don't know. You just one day at a time. It's just one day at a time.
Right.
And I think that's with everything. I think today is the day that I've got to get done a certain amount of things I need to get done.
Correct.
Tomorrow is a new day.
Right.
And Saturday is a new day, and Sunday is a new day. So I can only do what I can only do today. And you, as a dad, a future dad, you can only do what you can do in a day.
Right.
You're gonna make mistakes. You're not perfect. You won't be the perfect parent. And as long as you come to terms with that and you do the best job you can and you keep your children safe and they know that they can depend on you and you have that connection with them, that they know that their safety net lies with you,
right.
that their dad, that is one of the most important things you can do for your children. I think especially boys that grow up without fathers in the home.
Right.
You know, it's tough on those boys. It is, because mom can only do so much.
Right.
You know, we got to have the father influence in the home. We got to have the mom influence in the home.
Right.
We need the grandparents. You know, but there's so many family influences, the aunts, the cousins, the uncles, everybody.
Right.
You know, I think as long as those are in, it's a healthy environment.
Okay.
I think those are, as long as they're positive influences, it's the best thing you can do.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Because I'm always concerned about that kind of stuff. I'm always concerned about like my kid and how they look up to me and be like, my father is this. But I'm like, I always be concerned because I'm always like, I understand with my trauma as a kid that I'm still battling every day, but I don't want any traumas from me onto them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Me either. Same with my kids. I wanted to make sure that that I didn't, whenever I was in school, the schools didn't automatically have free lunch.
Right.
So when they did a roll call every day, you either said here or free in front of the entire class, in front of everybody.
Right.
So every day of my life, I had to say the word free. Every day. Until I was in high school, and then I thought, I'm not eating. I'm just not eating lunch, because I can't go through the embarrassment of saying free in front of my whole class anymore.
Right.
So, that, to me, I learned, everything that happened to me, it was like a little book, and I wrote it down. Okay, this is what happens, this is how you're gonna fix that.
Right.
This is what happened, this is what you'll do. This is what you'll do. So every experience that I had as far as the trauma growing up, I knew alcohol was not gonna be in my lifestyle because of my father. So we just marked that on off.
Okay.
We're not gonna have an issue with that. I knew I didn't wanna have my kids stand in line with me because back in the day we had food stamps. You had a book of these little stamps, these little look like fake money that you'd pull out and you'd give. So it wasn't discreet like it is now with the EBT card, where you can swipe it and nobody knows your business.
Right.
You know, back then everybody knew your business. I knew I did not want my children seeing me having to pull food stamps. Not that there's anything wrong with that. My mother had to do it, and people have to do what they have to do to get by.
Correct.
I don't fault that, not one bit. I grew up that way.
Right.
But I didn't want my kids having to grow up that way. So there were things that I knew I had to do. I went to college. When my mother passed away, I moved in with my dad, and my dad pretty much told me, if you want to go to college, you'll find a way to put yourself through college.
Right.
So I did. And I knew I didn't want my children doing that. So if they wanted to go to college, I'm paying for their college. But in order for me to do that, these are the things that I have to do in order to be able to do all of this stuff.
Right.
You know?
And so you were able, so was the voice like a problem whenever you were going through all that? Or was the voice like pushed to the side and you were able to go through the sacrifices that you had?
It's pushed to the side. It was just pushed to the side. I think I was probably more determined. Now that voice isn't here because I'm there. I'm where I'm right where God wanted me to be.
I never thought about it like that.
You know what I mean? So it's not there anymore. I can't tell you how many times I have, walked outside my house and thought, God, as a kid growing up and what I grew up in, I never thought I'd see something like this.
Right.
And I thank him for it. I never thought I'd drive a vehicle the way that I drive. I never thought I'd marry a husband that is the best provider, the best hearted human being. Never in the world did I ever think that I would, I felt like I'd probably choose, bad,
someone
negative
right.
people to be my husband, that had issues and drugs, alcohol, just, all the chaotic, stuff.
Right.
And I'm so glad that I went the other route. I can't tell you how many times, and God will never hear, I'll never get tired of telling him thank you for bringing me out of that.
Right.
At all. So I can sit in my house and it's comfortable. I don't have to worry about, as a kid growing up, we had roaches. I mean, it was a horrible condition to live in.
Right.
And I'm so appreciative of everything that I have. So appreciative of it. Never as a kid, if I was to talk to the 12-year-old Claudann, or the 8-year-old Claudann, or the 9-year-old Claudann could have never imagined where she was now. So that's why I'm saying those big dreams should scare you.
Yeah, me personally, I think I was gonna be past 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah.
I never thought it. A lot of my friends, some friends be like, I never thought I'd get past 18. I'm like,
I know. Isn't that sad?
yeah, I mean, people just don't know, but then people let their environment take control,
I agree.
because their environment, everything's bad, they said they gotta be in a bad, you can move out of your environment.
That's right.
But some people don't know, but the other matter, what do we allow?
Mm-hmm.
Do we allow these bad habits? Is it because we've been so used to them, do we just allow them to be that, or do we change our mindset?
You have to change your mindset, and you have to want it.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you don't want it, you're not gonna change your mindset. Not at all. That's why there's these people that are just career criminals, career in prison, because you can't, their mindset is their mindset.
Right.
And it's just like my sister. I hope and pray that her mindset changes,
Right.
At one day. Because she didn't choose men that would treat her right. She didn't choose, relationships. It's just different.
Right.
I can't.
You know how to explain it.
I don't. I wished I did. She needs to go to a counselor.
Right.
She needs to get help. That's what she needs.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard for people to admit that they need counseling. I guess people see counseling as such a bad thing, but I mean, you have to want to help yourself.
I agree. And if you don't want it and you don't want to get any better, it's like choose your heart. Do you want to just sit and waller in, I just thought come heck or high water. I know a lot of people, whenever I was growing up, thought I was going to be white trash for the rest of my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was another one of my motivators was I've got to prove every one of them wrong.
Right.
I've got to make something of myself. I don't have a choice. When it is live or die, and that's your mentality,
Right.
then you obviously don't have a choice, because I didn't want to die.
Right.
I didn't want to die that way. I didn't want to live in those conditions. I wanted out just as quickly as I could get out.
Right.
So
if you're saying you more of a every day's a new day type of person.
yep, every day's a new day.
So whenever you're asleep, you know you did the best you could and you go to bed.
You got it. And the best you could do, whatever that is whatever it is. You deal with it that day, and the next day's a new day. I'm not at a point where I feel like if I have offended anybody or hurt somebody, I'm the first one to apologize.
Right.
And I think that to me that makes a good parent, a good dad, a good leader, a good boss. That makes that because I'm far from perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
I make mistakes. And if I make a mistake, I'm sure gonna own up to it and say, y'all, that was on me.
Right.
I take full responsibility for that and move on.
Right.
If I didn't get done the things that I needed to get done, then that's on me. Tomorrow will be a different plan of action.
Right. It sounds like a plan of action.
Exactly.
But now, I don't know how much longer you can have for the podcast.
Say what?
I don't know how much longer you have for the podcast.
Actually, I'm over.
I want to ask you to talk about the gardening.
The what?
The children.
Oh, the garden, yes, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
That's good. Okay, so, one of the major projects that we do here at A&M is a project called Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go. And so with the LGEG, we kind of shorten that program. It is a gardening initiative where kids get out in the garden, they get out in the fresh air, and they build their raised beds,
Right.
you know, with their own hands. So here they're getting ownership into this, you know.
Right.
So then they put in the soil, and then we have seeds, and we have starter plants like a tomato plant, or let me see what I bought some cabbage, I bought lettuce, Brussels sprouts, collards, what else did I buy? I forgot what else I bought, and several seeds. And so the kids get to plant all of these wonderful vegetables. At the end, they get to harvest it. We do cooking demonstrations and teaching them how to enjoy different foods like bok choy or cabbage or lettuce or whatever.
Right.
So they actually get to harvest it and taste it. And kids will come so much closer to eating a new fruit or vegetable if they have grown it, harvested, cultivate. They've put their blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, into that
Right.
thing. They're gonna eat it.
It's a curiosity.
Yes, exactly. And this is what I did.
Right.
Of course I wanna eat this.
Right.
Sort of thing. So it teaches healthy eating habits. One important thing that I think it teaches them is agriculture and the importance of our food source.
Right.
So that they don't have this false sense of, you know, all my food comes from Walmart or Sprouts, or, well, I mean, yeah, it does, but what is the step before that?
Right.
We've got to teach our kids how to grow foods, because probably your grandparents and great grandparents only went to the grocery store to get flour, sugar, maybe coffee,
Yeah, about to. Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. When my great grandfather died, he had his own garden.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying we grew up on a garden.
Right.
So we had food as long as you planted it
Right.
and had a good growing season. You always had food. So we didn't have the need at that point for food stamps. You know, all of this other stuff.
Right.
If we start teaching our folks how to sustain themselves, I think that's one of the most valuable lessons we can teach. And so the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go program does that. So within all of the lessons, it's a 10-part lesson series. So it teaches them through the food demonstrations, the healthy foods that they can start eating. It teaches them history lessons about maybe where the potato came from. It teaches them, I was trying to think of everything that it teaches them. Geography, there's literature, so there's some really cute books that go along with the whole curriculum. The curriculum was developed through A&M, so it's all research backed. We give an evaluation before and after, so that we know what foods the kids have ate before, and then after going through the program, all of the foods that they've been able to eat since then. So it's just a fun program for the kids to go through. And we've got, I think, 250 kids out at KISAM at Chapel Hill. We've got 60 to 70 at ARP. And I think the Linda Library did the Learn, Grow, Eat, Go program last year as an after-school project. We're trying to get it in Winona School District, and that may start in spring. So it's just a fun thing, and you know, I think anybody that has a kiddo in school would be happy that their school district would take part in this program, because it's such a good, rich environment for kids to learn and grow and develop, and it's just the best thing ever.
Yeah, because I know that some schools are doing it now. I have like a little garden, but see, when I was growing up, like I told you earlier, we had the monarch.
Yeah.
That's all we had. We had the little caterpillar. We had to watch it grow and just released it.
Exactly, and then it was gone.
And it was gone, and that was it.
Yeah.
I guess it was more like to like take care of something. But I mean, it's like, I feel with a plant, I feel like you get more. I mean, there's only so much you can do with a monarch.
I agree.
You can sit there and say you can't just really throw it or nothing. So
Exactly.
But like I feel like that's a good thing to have for kids, especially if you wanting your kids to have more healthier eating habits. Like a lot of kids don't even know like how fruits and vegetables. They're used to like Sour Patch Kids and candy, like little quick stuff, little knickknacks, cereal, like TV dinners and stuff. Like people don't really know, cause like let's say for like not go along, but like let's say a pot of spaghetti. Like I know spaghetti's not the healthiest thing, but a quick subject. What would be something healthy that someone can make a big portion of?
I would say a good vegetable soup. would be a fantastic, and you can also freeze that. So if you wanted to make a big pot of soup, you could freeze half of it, and eat the other half for, you know, a couple of days.
Right.
I can eat on soup for like up to 3 days and never get tired of it, so,
Right.
you know. Soup would be a good thing. Spaghetti squash and meatballs would be a good, because you're getting that vegetable instead of that pasta.
Right.
Which is a win-win.
Right.
You can always, with your pasta sauce, even if you're doing spaghetti noodles, we'll say, get the kind that's got a little bit more protein in it. And get a handful of spinach, put it in your spaghetti sauce, put it in a blender, and you have pureed that spinach in your spaghetti sauce, so you're getting a vegetable without even knowing it.
Right.
So those are some quick ways that you can just add in some vegetables there. So the kids at the garden, maybe they don't like the way the spinach, the texture is, but we can always put it in a smoothie and the kids will eat it then.
Right.
So, or drink it.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to ask me, or anything else you'd like to add to the?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.